morning. Yeah, there we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the High Dragon's Breath Bow Wow, welcoming you back to another episode of Arkan's Fun Little Streams. We've got three things on the docket for today, probably going to be about a 2 hour stream, roughly. Hi, Wallflower, glad to have you here. We have a slightly longer one from Gamers Little Playground. It's the classic Halo Evolutions Headhunters. I think most people who have been fans of Halo for some time know about Headhunters, because it's been around for a long time. People are big fans of the series. It's from that same Halo Evolutions thing that Midnight Heart of Midlothian came from. And knowing me, I actually do love Midnight Heart of Midlothian a lot, so I have seen this one several times. And even though it's not my favorite, it's definitely a really good one, and it seems to be kind of a crowd favorite a lot of the time. I do what the people want. The next one is Halo Landfall, the official Bungie like Halo 3 ad campaign where they tried to make like legitimate World War II veteran style videos about Halo stuff, basically, which I think at the time I remember there was a little bit of kickback on it, but honestly, from anyone who was veteran or related to a veteran, it was a pretty good indication or a pretty good recreation of what it would look like to be a veteran of the Human Covenant War. So we're gonna watch that, and the last one, the actual like rage review. I've named this thing rage review, but realistically, only the last one is gonna make me angry. And it's the secret level section from the Amazon Warhammer TV show. And there are like 3 or 4 parts of it that really, really, really infuriate me. And I have held off on watching it because I held off on watching the full thing and on doing the like overall review of it because I knew that I wanted to save it for a specific time when I was able to get some time for it. Yeah. So it's the same thing with a lot of Space Marine stuff that it's like kind of good, kind of bad. One on the side of physics, logic, and people acting like regular people who can think and reason. It's dumb as fuck. But it's a lot more flashy than something like Astartes, in my opinion, because we went over and we watched all of Astartes together, and it was good. We went through and we counted down. Okay, that's logical. That makes sense. That's really good. That's a good way to do that. That's a good example. And even with Steel Coffins, it wasn't that bad. Scorch was a little bit worse because they were basically making it in SFM, and they had some severe limitations, but I don't blame them for that. And, of course, that's kind of an unfinished or like a half-finished animation. The whole series of it isn't done yet, if there is going to be one. But, yeah, Secret Level specifically, I have a lot of problems with how they portray both the cultists and the Marines' actual physicality. I think that they do a lot of stuff in the animation that makes it look like almost cartoonish in a way that I think is really dangerous to encourage, because what they do is they take a lot of flashy visuals and a lot of cool, impressive things, Primaris Marines and fancy plasma weapons and like all this stuff, and then they have them doing stuff with it or have the Marines performing in ways that just don't make sense. And then, of course, they gimp the absolute hell out of all of their enemies so that they're acting like brain-dead idiots. So we'll go over that in some detail because, yeah, but it'll be the last one that we do. And honestly, I'm going to watch through a lot of Headhunters. Yes, Primaris mentioned, indeed. Look, you know my opinion on Primaris. You've watched my making of a Space Marine video. You know how that shakes down, roughly. We're going to give people another 5 minutes to get in, to join us up. And then after that, we're going to go through and start with Headhunters. Give me a quick audio check, Wallflower. Tell me how this sounds to you. Can you hear me over it, or is it louder than me, roughly? So just give me a time, like give me a volume check. Tell me if that's good for you guys recording, or if I need to lower the volume at all. Or raise my volume, rather. Is that good? We all good?
Got one.
Audio sounds good? Good.
Sure?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go right to the start. And Well, let's see. Are there any other good animations on the thing? I mean, there's the Halo fan animation. It's yeah, you guys want to watch that as well? I have a limited amount of time, but it is a Soda's animation, and you guys fucking love Soda's animations. It is a 25-minute video though. Maybe I'll add it to the queue, but we might not get to it. That might have to be for next time. Um, so yeah, we'll see about that, but it's 25 minutes, so I have basically 2.5 hours to stream. I don't expect everyone to stay for that, but that's how long I have. So within the next 3 minutes, we're going to get started, whether or not individuals have gotten here or not. So I remember quite a bit about this because I remember watching it when I was a kid. Because it was one of the few times that we saw like Spartan 3s in action. But the reason that I like this so much is actually because I read the book that it's based off of. I read the Evolutions book and the one with the Spartan 3s in it. I forget. It might have actually just been called Headhunters, where they had Spartan 3s and Spartan 2s working together. Parts of Blue Team end up with Red Team. And I think the idea of having the Spartan 3s is really cool, because if you don't know, Spartan 2s are like the legit super soldiers who are treated like Space Marines, and they're all powered up and juiced up, and they've got all these abilities and armor, and they're constantly getting updated. They're like a tank, a walking tank kind of deal. Spartan 3s are a lot more like you take an ODST or a shock trooper, and then you do as much to them as you possibly can to make them more... yeah. Oh yeah, of course you can do that. If you're on the server, feel free to ask around for if anyone wants to join the tabletop game. Yeah. Go right ahead. I'm not gonna police the server beyond keeping anyone from posting cringe. So yeah. Well, I mean, I do police it as in stay within the rules, but yeah, as long as you're not like, mass pinging everyone, I think that's perfectly fine. All right, 418. I think we're going to give them another minute or so. Yeah, we are. But in either case, yeah, sorry, the Spartan 3s, they're kind of like the cheap offset of Spartan 2s. They're still expensive, but they're not raised from, like, young children into warriors, but they aren't, fully grown adults when they're picked up either. So they're a lot more like how they describe them in this animation. Psychotic, murderous teenagers. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. Pretty accurate to the Spartan 3s. Alright, with that, I say, let's get into it. Good old Halo waypoint. So we can see 120 rounds. This is probably a pistol hooked up to his HUD. Yeah, they were Matt Ward Ultramarines, very right. And you can see he's got the Halo Reach outlay, or sorry, the Halo Combat Evolved outlay with the shield up here and then the health bar down here. From what I remember, the Spartan 3s didn't all get shields. Some of them got it, some of them didn't. Because some of them got versions of Mjolnir armor that were made later, and some of them didn't. But originally, they weren't intended to have shields. They were just intended to be pure shock troopers.
Hold it.
This is also such a cool animation style.
Got one. You sure? Yeah. I'm sure.
Yep, so you can see they have submachine guns on their back, silenced pistols, and the, like, classic combat blade. This is the more Bowie knife style blades.
Now this is fun. No.
Yeah, so you can see their armor's a lot thinner, a lot leaner than some of the other Spartans. And it covers up less of them, especially their legs. These guys are meant to be very quick. And here's the other thing. I was talking with somebody a little while ago, or in the comments on the video, about how I got the caliber for the Magnum wrong. Or rather, how I was changing the caliber of the Magnum at times because I thought that certain versions did so little damage or had so little recoil or whatever that it wouldn't make sense that they would all be in like 12.7 or like 50 AE. Also, somebody was saying that like 12.7 has the high explosive abilities of like a 20 mil round, and That's not how that works. But yeah, this is one of the things I'm talking about. Suppressing a 50 AE pistol is kind of pointless, and these things are whisper quiet in this animation. So I'm like, either that's using subsonic ammo of some kind, subsonic 10mm or something, or that's a very, very good silencer, because you can hear it's like a 22 silencer firing.
Not fun yet, but it's about to be.
Also, controversial opinion, I was never really a fan of those bubble-style helmets that don't have, like, a top to them. It's the same thing, I don't like beaky armor, because I think that this is just way too much vulnerability. And I mean, theoretically, a World War I soldier wearing a bowl-style helmet is actually more protected than this dude, because this is essentially just reinforced glass. So, your opinions on that, but I personally don't like it. That's fair. Baller music.
In 2531, the Office of Naval Intelligence commissioned the Spartan 3 program. Unlike the Spartan 2 program before it, the Spartan 3 program would send its soldiers to certain death in the
suicide missions, baby!
Hope that their sheer numbers would overwhelm the enemy.
Yeah, seriously, listen to that. Listen to how whisper quiet that is.
Send its soldiers to
That's a suppressed subsonic 5mm caseless round coming out of that. And now listen to the exact same sound out of what they claim is a 12-7 or a 50 AE firing pistol.
Certain death in the hope that their sheer numbers would overwhelm the enemy and impede.
That sounds like a fucking 22. Like, that literally sounds like a plinking pistol that you've suppressed. There's no way in hell that that's a 12-7 50 AE round. And, the complete lack of recoil is also a good example. But yeah, Spartan 3s, they're more mass-produced, so you can use a lot of them on missions.
The Covenant's merciless campaign. A chosen few Spartan 3s were handpicked to serve in a top-secret program, codenamed Headhunters. Working in two-man teams, these elite Spartans executed high-risk missions far behind enemy lines. Few would return from the battlefield, but their actions would resonate throughout.
Yeah, the most elite of humanity going to their death for something that they don't really understand is pretty classic for the Human Covenant War, and I love it.
The Covenant War.
It's very much that cultist mentality of like, our elites have las guns, and that's what they have. I forgot how good the music was in this episode. This is jiggy, I'm vibing.
Hey, you think he's cloaked? Could be a sniper. I got 20 credits on camo.
Okay, just checking. Sorry, just checking my audio
Take
levels.
that bet?
So I don't get this one. This is something that you could do in like Halo 3. It would outline things in like a friend or foe identifier. I'm not sure that that's how IFF generally works. I'm pretty sure there's like specific flags and tags instead of giving this kind of outline. But I can understand why for a video game this makes sense. Also, interesting thing, while Marines, all of their controls for their helmet are inside, for Spartans, or at least for these guys, it seems like a lot of it's on the outside, which is interesting.
Anything? Nothing. Shit. At the top. 1 o'clock. All the way up.
I love these, the little, like, flets or talons. The flat things that they put on top of trees and stuff. The Covenant have this weird thing of, like, a lot of their technology has weird symbiosis with normal environments. So, to us, it looks like alien and purplish and unnatural, but to them, it's like, ah, yes, the tree grabber stand, used to create a stand in a tree. So, like, to them, that's standard technology that's, like, a normal thing, and to us, it's like, what the hell? Who has something for that?
Yep. Looks like you owe me 20 credits.
Poor guy, for real, for real. Honestly, I mean, I always didn't understand why the hell these guys had this piece of metal on their face, because this is not protecting you from much. I mean, direct hits from the front are probably going to spray this thing off of your face or shove it into your cranium. Uh, Hits from the side are still able to hit your lower jaw and your throat and the side of your head. So even the top of your head is still exposed. So I didn't really understand this helmet, but that's the case with a lot of Covenant armor. It's not great, but it has a very specific reason that it exists. This kind of beak. They also have an obsession with combat harnesses, which, fine in theory, not really all that great in practice.
Clear.
Love that beam rifle.
That'll wake him up.
Ayy.
You know, this dig site's gotta be pretty damned important to the Covenant for Oni to be wasting us out here so far from the front.
Oni says it's hot. It's hot. What's the situation?
Pretty much as expected.
Infantry?
High 20s, maybe lower 30s. We've had worse.
Apes or alligators? Jay, we got apes or gators?
Gators. Quite a few.
Yeah, I love they refer to them as the Jiralhane and the Sangheili as apes or gators, because the more reptilian features of the Sangheili and the more brutish ape-like features of the Jiralhane. But I think it's a pretty interesting analysis what he says next, and it's very interesting. Yes,
No
spacism.
sign of brutes.
Fine by me. Elites are a bitch, but at least they're smart, right? Makes them predictable. Brutes, though.
Look at them sideways and they lose their heads. Makes them fun. Like picking on an emotionally stunted 12-year-old.
That's so mean. So, again, like, the idea that brutes are more animalistic, and so they don't want to fight them because they're unpredictable, whereas regular soldiers, you know what they're gonna do, so somebody who's very highly trained would know how to deal with soldiers better than they would know how to deal with civilians, for example. You know, they're gonna be better than them, but they might do something crazy or insane, or like combat guerrillas. Yes, it is mean. We do not endorse bullying, children here.
You were the bully as a kid, weren't you?
Me? No. I was the 12.
I don't know why he's looking directly down the barrel. Like, this is violating the primary and secondary laws of gun safety, and his thumb is practically on the trigger. Bro, this entire image is just Kurt Cobain POV. You should probably not do that.
12-year-old.
Think that teaches some sympathy for...
Sympathy? If getting your ass bruised teaches you anything, it's that it's better to be the bully than the one getting beat.
Also, that, again, like, that's not 12-7. There's no frickin' way that that's a half-inch round coming out of that tiny little barrel.
You don't.
You are one enlightened individual. You know that?
Tend to think I turned out okay.
Jay, you're essentially a government-sanctioned sociopath. That's not...
You're essentially a government-sanctioned sociopath. Probably because I'm a violent sociopath with an extensive history of violence. Oh, I don't understand how you keep forgetting that. Oh, also, I should turn on closed captioning. God damn.
not normal, and some would say far from okay.
Like you're some kind of saint.
I never said I was. I'm not saying you're not a hell of a guy, Jay. I'm just saying I wouldn't trust you with my kids.
You don't have any kids.
Don't have kids.
Then we got nothing to worry about.
See, I'm interested in how long they have to get staked out to actually prep an attack on these places. Because it must be a while, and they're not carrying extra gear, no backpacks or anything, so, you know, what are they eating? What are they doing to maintain their fitness? All that kind of stuff. That clearly took, like, probably a couple of days, maybe like 2 days to go and stake it out and to belly crawl all the way there, so, I don't know. Oh yeah, it is definitely peak two bros being bored. Gotta love the SMG. It's basically an SM or an FM57 fully automatic. Average grunts on guard, one dude sleeping, one dude prepping to shoot himself, one dude not facing the danger. This is just the most classic set of grunt guards. Also, the Major's the only one with an actual weapon, which is hilarious. You're about to see something incredibly mean. Yes, the 5.7 does have a buff against poor people, which is why the SMG was so good at killing grunts. I know, I love grunts too, but this is some vicious shit you're about to see. Why does he have his back to the woods? Like, bro, I know you're a grunt, but at least, like, pretend or try to pretend that you're paying attention.
Wait for the signal.
The music just stops for a second, just to show you the sheer amount of pain. Love it.
Got it.
Also, I don't know if their blood is that luminous, which it seems to be. How does that not get, like, all over you? And especially, like, onto your blade and stuff, because I know it stinks. It smells of methane, so. Grunts are just gross, though, in a lot of cases. If you remember the Deacon from Contact Harvest, he's dealing with, like, all these other grunts, and he's like, dude, they never bathe. They never take care of themselves. They never clean themselves. They're just, like, living in their own filth with a bunch of skin parasites and mites and stuff. It's gross. Also, goddamn, all of these jackals have beam rifles, which, that's wild. It's Halo 2 all over again. So we got one dude with the det charges, one dude with a flash grenade.
Time to wake up.
What is this, like, has this dude just been sitting here all day? Is his job just to sit in the tower? Does he not need to eat? Ever? Also, how does he get down? That's a massive fucking explosion for that much C4. Like, that was maybe 10, 20 pounds of C4. That looks like a 500 kilogram bomb. Look at that shit! That looks like a small nuclear detonation. That's like a mile away. Holy shit. That is enormous explosion. Active camo. I don't know what the point of these shields is if grenades could just go right through them. So, that shut off his shield and his weapon, which I find very interesting. It also shuts off these dudes' respirators. Double flashbangs. There's no point in saving a flashbang, in my opinion. You always want to use all the flashbangs that you have immediately to maximize the flash effect. Also, I don't know why those were staggered if he pulled the pin and threw them at the same time. Yeah, just quickly takes him out immediately, two-handing it like a lot of good Spartans do. Whereas this dude he's running the gauntlet. He's going to all these different power stations, blowing them up, which I'm not sure is necessary considering this is supposed to be like a contiguous system. Average squad of red shirts for real. Just standard elite miner with the basic bitch plasma rifle. One grunt that somehow has a needler, even though he's also a miner. He should not have that. And one grunt miner with a pistol. And then again, beam rifle jackal, which is wild that he's on the ground with a scout squad. That thing is so much range, he's totally wasted down here. Frag grenade. Love the pineapple bomb. Look at that. Hey, we caught it in the moment of fragmentation. This is a great high explosive, too. Such a big explosive. It's basically the size of a softball. Yep, corporal and a gaggle of privates. Exactly right. Mostly because I don't think jackals have a very solid rank structure. They kind of work as, like, allied mercenaries, but they also keep internal rankings based on their own pecking order. So it's an interesting thing, the Kigyard. Alright, I want to analyze the hits here, because he's aiming randomly with 5mm and with what is supposed to be 12.7, but in what in my opinion is probably suppressed or subsonic or even like short 44 or subsonic 10mm. One shot to the shoulder, shot to the shoulder, shot to the lower abdomen. One shot to the arm. Another shot to the arm. None of those have been lethal yet. That so sucks. So, because the arms of the grunt are very tough to their exoskeleton, he's actually had ones bounce off of the arm, and he had to put one into his torso instead. Short 44, well, 44 Schofield would be an example, but when I talk about calibers, you take the number, or the .44 in that case, and that would be the width of the actual bullet. Short would essentially mean that you would take a regular round, like 44 Magnum, and you would essentially cut the casing in half and put the same size bullet in there. What it does is it makes it a little bit smaller, have a lot less recoil, and be a lot lighter and can fit in different types of guns, usually smaller, more automatic ones, so that they don't have as bad of a feed issue as trying to feed 44 Magnum, but you get the same weight that you would out of the 44. It's just going slower. So whenever I say like 50 short, I mean 50 AE, but you like cut the cartridge in half, took out half the propellant, and then made the bullet smaller. And then when I say 50 AE, that's full size. When I say 44 or 44 Magnum, that's full size, and then chop it in half, 44 short. 44 Schofield is technically that, but it's only a tiny bit shorter. When I say 44 short, I'm talking more like 10mm minus maybe a millimeter or two of cartridge width, or cartridge length, rather. Yeah, and he pops him 1, 2, 3, 4 in the chest, which, yeah, grunts are pretty tough, honestly. For all that they are, like, you know, chaff units, they're pretty tough, and you'd want to put 3 or 4 rounds into them. Also, yeah, automatic weapons for an elite who is without his armor is a solid plan. Mostly because you have a higher chance of actually getting effective rounds on target, because you can see, while these guys don't have a ton of body armor, he has, over his chest, over his groin, over his thighs, pretty solid armor. His weak spots are essentially a big U from his bicep on one side to his belly to his bicep on the other side, and the face. I don't know why they chose to engage in melee with a Spartan. That's a bad idea. They should probably have just shot him, but, you know. Oh, yeah, no, grunts can be very, very dangerous. It's why grunt majors are actually kind of nasty, especially in games like Reach, where they made them more dangerous by actually making them better at their job. They would make them fire longer. They would make them always throw more grenades. And they would put more of them in squads when they wanted to indicate more eliteness. And of course, in Reach, you also had the gunners and the heavies who had fuel rod cannons, and those guys were great.
That wasn't so bad.
I love the original Halo doors. I too love Reach. I remember Reach. A beam rifle. I don't know why they're all just standing around waiting him for to do this badass shit.
Roll. Light him up.
One solid shot to the head with the particle beam rifle. So nice. Local man misses his overcharge, as freaking usual. Tank right in the head. I also like how he's two-tapping with the beam rifle, because anything faster than 2 taps will essentially overheat it. And I remember that a lot from Halo 4. You'd only get 4 or 5 shots per beam rifle, and so instead of wasting it on trying to take precision shots, especially on Legendary, you would just focus down the highest health enemy and use it like a disposable weapon. Tap, 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 overheat it so you could get in 1, 2, 3 for a kill shot to the head. And even on Legendary, that would kill any elite that you had. But they're clearly not playing on Legendary here. Why was this dude not holding his shield out? Bro, you were fine. You were so fine. And then you just decided to move your hand away. God damn it. Alright. You get what you deserve, TBH.
Jay, 7 o'clock.
Also, dude is running like Usain Bolt, for real. Also, again, how did a miner get an energy sword? Right in the kneecaps. That sucks so much. How? Seriously, he's definitely an elite miner, so how did he get the energy sword? He definitely should not have that. Also, they're... Oh, that was the pistol, so those do have casings. Caught me. Caught me. Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's not a 50 AE casing. Like, that's clearly much more like a 10 mil, or even like a 9 mil or a 45 ACP casing. That does not look like 50 AE whatsoever. Look at the size of the primer.
Nice shot.
You softened him up. Still got some fight in you, big guy? You know, up close, you aren't so special. Really. What gives you the right to do what you do?
There is honor in our path. Humanity is nothing but a disease.
Brother's promotion was probably done through trying to steal an energy sword, which, again, he should probably just be shot for. Also, how messed up is it to tell an elite that how do you get the guts to do what you do? Man, that's his whole job. Man, elites do not have, like, another way of life that isn't warfare. That's so mean.
Yeah, well, this disease ain't going nowhere, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
You are not warriors. Not true warriors. You are assassins. Weak and timid. Hiding in the shadows.
Says the alien shitheel who invented active camo. Yeah, you're noble. How...
Also, this has got to be pretty late in the war because this dude actually understands the human language. and is clearly like aware of and capable of talking to them. And the fact that he refers to them as assassins and not demons actually makes sense to me, because I think that my reasoning for why this miner is here and why he has an energy sword, I think he's with the group that comes later. He's kind of like their Harken world claimer, essentially. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they're headhunters 100%. So they're definitely more like assassins, but I just find it interesting that that's what he calls them instead of demons. He doesn't really consider them a full Spartan, I guess.
Nobles glassing a planet from orbit.
Your kind must be expunged, eradicated from the worlds you have fouled with your very presence.
All of this because the Covenant couldn't understand the fact that the humans were derived from and using a lot of Forerunner tech. How unfortunate that misunderstanding was. Or, well, it is an intentional misunderstanding, I suppose, because truth knows the reality of what's going on, and he intentionally goes against humanity because he thinks it would spell the end of the Covenant. There is a not impossible timeline where humanity gets absorbed into the Covenant as a new race. So that is actually possible.
I don't really like this guy.
Because of the whole Reclaimer thing. It would have been difficult, but I think that if it hadn't been Jiral Hane who showed up first, if it had been elites instead of Tartarus, I think they would have been better off. Maccabeus and Tartarus. If it hadn't been them, I think they would have been better off.
Guy Jay?
Dude, Human Covenant would be so fucking great. For the 5 seconds that we had it in Halo 3, and for the 20 minutes we had it in Halo 5, it was so good. And then they gave us the Banished and Halo Wars 2, and that shit just got put in the bin immediately. And we traded it out for AI because, that's a better plot device than actual war. It's not 343 killed the fucking thing.
Cut him loose.
I fear not the path to the great journey. I embrace it.
Great journey, huh? What's so great about it?
You will never...
So I always loved that kill because it gives me an indication of where the major arteries are in the Sangheili's neck. And in my opinion, the reason that they don't have a lot of armor on the underside of their jaw and mouth is not only because it would be uncomfortable, but also because that's not where their major arteries are. Their major arteries go over the back of their skull, essentially, where ours go straight down from underneath the jaw into our neck. Theirs go essentially through the back of their jaw because their jaw is split, and it goes through the back of their neck, so the only part that needs to be protected is essentially the back of the neck because that's where their major arteries are, which is why he basically had to jam it all the way into his shoulder to hit what is essentially his carotid artery.
It was a rhetorical
Or his throat.
question, asshole.
Sorry, yep. One sec, I'm going to make that a little more clear. Sorry, to explain that, he stabbed him right through here, basically, all the way to the back of his neck, because he buried his entire knife in him. Didn't just stab him in the throat or underneath the jaw, didn't just stab him through the head, which you can do right through their jaw. I believe that the Sangheili, essentially their brain being here, all of the armor being to protect the brain and the back of the head. Why so far in the back? Because their major arteries, their carotid arteries, essentially run along their spine rather than down to their jugular because of how their jaw works, essentially. That's my personal theory, but I think it holds up a lot, especially with how their armor is designed.
Overkill, don't you think?
Better safe than sorry.
You're a funny guy.
I do what I can.
We got places to be. You about ready?
Yeah. This place is dead anyway.
Dude, a Halo Anatomy book would be awesome. I might go into it at some point, but it would be very speculative, unfortunately. You've missed approximately 12 minutes, but we have a lot of time to go, so... Also, I love this. Invisible energy swords. In Combat Evolved, you would still kind of see the energy sword around, but in later games, you would just see like a floating energy sword. I think this is much cooler. where it's invisible. And it's kind of the blood showing out, which is nice. Goddamn, the combat evolved health thing is awesome. That's like right through your kidney and intestine. That sucks. Why he isn't sliding down it, though, is a good question. Why the plasma sword can even impale someone is a great question. Honestly, I don't have a logical explanation for this. I think that my glass plasma theory still holds here. But the idea is essentially that it's being twisted or manipulated in a way that it is sticking in his body and continuing to burn, rather than essentially just dragging through him or expanding. So again, just the Covenant have a much stronger magnetic containment field than either 40K or Star Wars does. So that's how they get this glass-like plasma effect, where it can be a superheated gas and yet also act like a blade. Well, cheap knockoffs. They're expendable shock troops. Also, I love how it's getting brighter and brighter as it kind of burns, because he immediately stabbed him through the gut, and you can see it's dragging upward as he's essentially falling down it, and as more of him is burning into the blade and boiling through the plasma, it's actually changing the color of the blade, which I find very cool, and also, again, vibes with that whole idea that he's essentially holding him on a slant, and the power of the magnetic field is holding him down. Or holding that in place, but it's slowly burning. Yeah, made for different purposes, 100%. Also, yeah. I don't know what bro is doing. Like, I don't know if you're trying to make him suffer. You've let him now drag up from the gut, but you just got shot like 4 times, so.
Clear. Damn it.
What a great Halo 3 combo, for real. When you're out of ammo and you have nothing left, plasma pistol, the little mini pistol that they gave you in Halo 3. Perfect.
How'd you do it, you son of a bitch?
Also, Wetwork Spec Ops Zealots are so cool. He looks so plastic, it's very cool. But what a great combat harness for a Zealot, honestly. It is some of the best elite armor we ever got. Zealots, 100% are some of the best of the best. In my opinion, some of the Spec Ops from Reach were a little bit better, but only like the Spec Ops majors really stand up to the Zealot armor, and the Zealots in that game are so good that I don't really even compare them. They're just in their own level of being awesome.
Well, roll, old buddy. Looks like we got ourselves something new. Shit. It's a trap. You bastards set this up. All of it. You're here for us. You're afraid of us. I'm flattered.
You are dead.
It could be. It doesn't matter.
Do you value your life so little?
No, that ain't it. I like being me. But you being here means you're not somewhere else. Get it? All these resources, wasted on a few pathetic humans. Makes me feel special. And if you think you're taking me without losing a limb, you lost your damn mind.
You will not be so brave once we have carved your flesh and you have screamed your secrets to the stars.
This ends one of two ways, Chief. I walk out of here with your teeth hanging from a string around my neck, or I die with my fist down someone's throat.
Okay, 150%. There are Marines who have collected the jaw mandibles of elites. Like, I'm not even messing around. The whole Viet Cong ear thing, that's one thing. You have a enemy species, in this case, who is inherently dehumanized, who have a very specific mutation to their, like, facial structure that makes it really easy to essentially rip one of these off. 100% the Marines are collecting jaw pieces from elites.
Either way is fine with me. So let's get to it already.
You can sense your end, human. That is good. If it brings you any peace, the whole of your kind will soon follow suit.
Yep, Covenant Carbine. I love these. You can see it's a whole squad of them. But Covenant Carbine, one of them looked like they had a grenade launcher or a brute shot. Yeah, that dude in the back has like a heavy weapon of some kind. 2 more energy swords. So it's energy sword, energy sword, energy sword, Covenant Carbine, and then some heavy medium weapon that he has in the back. And you can just see, like, this is a very, very good kill squad. I'd put this up against a Space Marine any day, by the way. Like, if we're comparing shit, Halo to 40k, I think a single Space Marine would get bodied by these 5. Like, the Covenant Carbines aren't going to do much, but the energy swords will. And whatever that dude has, if he has a beam rifle, that will also do pretty darn well against a Marine. So I'd put a Marine up against these 6, and I think the Marine's probably going to die. Not a Terminator, but a regular Marine, yes.
You know I can see you, right?
Yes, oh my god, I've been looking into Deep Space Nine and into some of the, like, Cardassian war stuff for Star Trek. Not because I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'm sorry, but I really have not gotten into that one. I'm a big nerd. I haven't gotten into the Star Trek stuff. I was too young at the time when it was popular, and I haven't got back into it. But I've started watching a bunch of DS9 clips because, God, it's just a hilarious show in general. And I've picked up little bits of that Civil War, and I think it's very fun. And I should look into it in future for sure. Yeah.
We are aware of your visual upgrades, human. Lay down your arms and surrender yourself for Inquisition.
20.
Yeah, Inquisition. Special word there. Also, very well spoken for Elite. Number 3, they clearly want to get this guy alive. And I don't know if that's why they killed the first guy, or if they wanted to see if he would try and struggle first or something, but they clearly were trying to get them alive for the ultimate goal of the Elites, and by extension the Covenant, want the location of Earth.
Credits says you're all dead within, let's say, the next 30 seconds. Take that bet?
Yeah, I still wouldn't stop. I don't know why they hesitated, honestly. Like, take a leg off. Like, for real. The plasma sword will cauterize it. Just take his leg off. At this point, I would not hesitate or wait. He clearly has something planned. If you're in this type of hostile situation as a soldier, take a limb off. He can get inquisitioned and you can question him missing a couple of limbs. Also, nice coordination here. One striking high, one striking straight. So this is a horizontal slice, shoulder to groin, and this is a stab. So if he goes back, stabbed. If he goes left to right, hit. The only option is for him to go right to left or to go down here. And this guy, as he's the second one to hit, is going to have a chance to redirect the point of his blade if he goes down or to the back. So, very solid duo here. Yeah, so you can see that just immediately gets rid of the active camo and the shields. Who was worse, Halsey or the Spartan trainer or Muslar? I remember Muslar, but I don't remember if that was his name. But yeah, the trainer. I think it was Halsey, because Halsey's in a bunch of other unethical stuff beyond the Spartan program. So, yeah. And seriously, that is not 12-7. That's not a 50 AE. Look at the hits. That's not 50 AE. 50 AE would have gone through glass and shattered into his eye. Like that. This is 10 millimeters suppressed or 10 millimeters short or 44 short. I do not believe that that's a half-inch round making that type of impact with that type of noise. Also, lucky as hell shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds. What is my favorite word? What is my universal statement? If you're fighting an enemy in heavy armor, hands, eyes, face, groin.
Take him!
Also, bro is tweaking. Look at his eyes. He's bursting like several blood vessels. Actually, that's not necessarily true, because I'm pretty sure the elites have a different, like, eye color to their sclera than we do.
You dare defy us, filth. You will suffer for your sins.
Yeah, this is another one. It's clearly heating areas outside of the actual, like, impact point, so...
When in doubt, blow shit up. Clear.
Oh yeah, they're psychotic for sure. This is what happens when you blow up plasma batteries under like a hive city too. It's just horrible. Alrighty, very good. Love that one. Let's go to Landfall next. This is the classic Bungie one. Soul Defense Group. Yeah, so in this case, readiness usually means one thing, but in the case of active war, it probably means casualties, to be honest. Oh, or probably ammunition. Sorry. The old world will burn in the fires of industry. The forests will fall. Yeah. Well, we did get one live-action show. We just don't talk about it for good reason, right? We did get one live-action show. We're just not going to talk about it, and I will not review it. Also, I just love how massive the chamber on the sniper rifle is. It's huge. Very sophisticated helmets here. I love how the Warthog is just like a cheap piece of shit. Like, for all that it's iconic, this really isn't a great durable vehicle. It kind of is just like an off-roading ATV with a tri-barreled heavy machine gun. It's not all that tough, and you can see it's just made out of like welded, riveted sheet steel, essentially. Yep, not all that great. Yeah, this is one of them. Or, well, this is one of the ones that came out for Halo 3. And then the other ones were trying to copy this one, if I remember right. They're talking about all the veterans and stuff like that, yeah. More BA5 Haas or BA55 Haas. Very nice, kind of the original version. Yeah, Forward Unto Dawn. Yeah. I was talking about the Halo TV show, which is the one we're not going to talk about. Look at all these pistols. 12.7mm automatic. See, these ones, the Mark D, I could understand this being in 50 AE, basically. But that little one, no frickin' way is that 50 AE. They probably asked for something from somebody who doesn't make military vehicles. Because if you want to look back at, like, the British during World War II, they're commissioning a bunch of people who... Yeah, we do not talk about the Halo TV show. Someone's bad fan fiction. I mean, yeah. I mean, is it even fan fiction if they're not a fan? If they hate the material they're working with, are they really a fan? Is it really fan fiction, or is it just fiction? 50 AE is really hard to suppress. They have done it. I've seen Desert Eagles with suppressors on them, but they look more like a truncated little muzzle brake, and all it's really designed to do is, you know, make it... It'll never be hearing safe. So, brand fiction. That is a good one. Yeah, brand fiction. Corporate fiction. There you go. I like how they started arming all of the Marines with these just to give them a little more range. Pelicans are so big. Like, these are massive transports, but we're really not all that far off from this with our modern ones. You know, other than this having jets and ours being, like, helicopter and jet, we're not that far off from the Pelican with a lot of the aircraft that the U.S. has. The 22 Osprey, it's literally, like, one bad day away from just being a Pelican. Hey, he said the line, Bart. He said the line. Yeah, they can carry a lot. I'm not against it. Like, I don't hate those big-ass things, but, like, I'm just saying, we ain't that far off. Yeah, I love this real combat footage stuff where they're all decked out as Marines. It's so cool. Hey! Brutes in suits. Never gave me the same feel as... yeah, I agree. The OG Marines were very different. Yeah, the Pelican can carry a Scorpion, but here's the thing. The Osprey can also carry, like, a 1-ton container of shit. Like, if you had it... I believe they have it carrying water tanks and fuel tanks, and it can carry an insane amount of water and fuel. So it can't carry, like, large vehicles, but... it can carry a lot of actual material that's, like, raw. Hey, Banshee's fuel rod gun. I miss when brutes didn't have shields. Hey, steel pipe. Also, no offense, but I think Pelicans should absolutely have, like, a better chin gun. Yeah, I miss when they had hair, too. Just also the brrr, 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 brrr of the beat. Oh, the battle rifle is so good. Look at how tiny the Warthog is. I don't know about a 30 mil, but I think like maybe a doubled up machine gun, or just one of these like 13.2 millimeter heavy machine guns, honestly, or like a 12.7 chain gun. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Also, I love the threat neutralized on the Jarrell Hane's body.
Bravo kilos moving west. I'm hit. Suck it up.
God damn, what a fucking hero. Literally grabs a spike grenade, runs with it, this thing that's the size of a mall, and he yeets it at a Banshee, hitting it and killing it. What an insane... The size of this man's balls. That would have scared the shit out of me, honestly. Also, I don't know if this is one of the versions of the battle rifle that's full auto, but that dude was just, like, absolutely emptying it on full auto.
Search and rescue team is awaiting coordinates.
Oh yeah, Master Chief is a strategic asset. Yeah, very much like a tactical nuclear bomb.
You need to get that laser on the chief. Just get this thing out of me now.
Hey, look at that! It's a spirit. So that's how big they're saying that the brute spike rifles are, which is way bigger than they really are, but also, yeah, still cool.
Yeah. Hey, what's the situation? Almost out of ammo, sir. We have to pull back. Negative. We need to hold them off until Master Chief breaks through. I'll go around and pin them down. Make every shot count.
Also, who comes around in an entire whole-ass spirit and just drops off 2 brutes? What are they supposed to do? Jesus Christ! Oh my god! That's like that one image of the bunny, or the one video of the bunny that gets hit with an arrow. It's like, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. It just gets shot with a fucking sniper rifle at point blank range. Like, that's a 14.5 millimeter round that just turned that man's upper torso into mulch. That's so evil. Yep. Anyone plugged a smart AI into combat drones? I think it's because of the limitations in the AI. They prefer to like attach them to really big systems because the AI itself doesn't really break up easily, or at least when it does so, it lowers its processing power. So it's most powerful when it's in one piece, and then Halo logic states that if you break up those pieces, they become less effective and less powerful. So having it in one very powerful drone would basically just be like an AI-controlled Pelican with guns on it, and human beings can do that and not waste an entire ancilla. Oh, yeah, the UNSC do have drones, but they're mostly used for surveillance. Also, that was actually like a brute major. He was in blue armor. God damn. That is horrifying. That is such a nightmare, too, just running into these absolute mongoloid monsters with gravity hammers and grenades. Yep, that's death. Instantaneous death. Notice, the gravity thing didn't activate there because he was using the back of the hammer for that second strike. See? Using the front of the hammer. Smashes him right into the wall. Blood all everywhere. Using the back of the hammer with the blade down. Yep. Also, damn Banshees. Also, it'd be nice to see if we could get, like, a version where you get to play as a Marine, and you get this kind of, like, damage model instead of the standard one. Yeah, brutes are kind of like smarter Ogrins, but they're really not all that much smarter till later when they decide to redesign brutes as a replacement for elites, which they really weren't meant to be in the first place. Orcs or brutes? Who's worse in a fight? Oh, okay. We're talking like a hand-to-hand fight between an orc and a brute, or which one would I rather fight in hand-to-hand combat? The answer is actually kind of the same either way. I'd rather fight the orc than the brute. Because the brute is much taller and much stronger. Even though the orc is broader than me, and the orc is broader, yeah, I would rather fight an orc. 100%. Brutes scare me way more. It's the same way that I would rather fight a human being who was just kind of like a pub crazy person. You know, like the original goal of orcs was to be a caricature of, like, British football hooligans, or soccer hooligans if you're, you know, from my neck of the woods. But, yeah, I'd rather fight an orc because I'd rather fight a soccer hooligan than an 800-pound silverback gorilla that's smart. And brutes scare the shit out of me. Oh, yeah, no, oh my god, an orc boy against a brute would body them. Much better. But yeah, an orc war boss is a different thing. Yeah, there's kind of like a thing where the standard brute, or the standard Jiral Hane, is going to be inherently superior to the standard orc. But once you get up to better orcs, the brutes will fall off. Because a chieftain, the only difference between a chieftain and a standard brute is essentially just some combat skill and experience.
Hold still.
Hey, that was biofoam, which is a really cool thing in Halo, and I love it a lot. Biofoam, it's great stuff. Definitely doesn't make logical sense, but I think it's very cool. I don't know why they weren't already using the heavy machine gun. Look how little armor they have, for real. Like, they're literally like Janissaries, they just have nothing on. Just death by impalement. Those are so big. These are definitely bigger than they would actually be. Favorite alien race in the Covenant? The Sangheili. I mean, that would be the easy answer. It's the elites. I like the elites a lot. Am I allowed to choose the Mechalagolo? If I'm allowed to choose hunters, then it's still elites, but hunters are my second. I do not like brutes. I don't hate them, but in comparison to any other race in the Covenant, except for the Sang Shayom, except for the Prophets, I don't like them. Hey, I think that's supposed to be a railgun.
Target acquired.
Oh no, it's a targeting laser. Nice.
That's it, we got him. Recovery team has his coordinates. Touching down soon. Fall back. Fall back.
Sierra 117. Firing a missile inside of a bunker is a really bad idea. However, this is exactly the weapon that you would use to deal with this problem. he is vaporized. One moment, running, confident, thunder hammer in hand, or gravity hammer in hand, big chieftain hat, one little spicy 8-centimeter boy, and you're just reduced to ashes. Yes, all this just the track where Chief lands. This was how desperate we were to play Halo back in the day, apparently. Yep, that was a Halo 3 ad, somehow. What absolute insanity there was back then. Alright, so, this is secret level. This is the rage part of this video. This is where I get mad, and we talk about things that are not good. So, let us understand, I'm about to get a wee bit peeved. But this is only 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So, let's see how much I can get angry in 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Pledge compliance. Hilarious opening. Look at all of his ports. Very nice. And burn mark. Oh yeah, Chaos are definitely cultists. We make giant icons to our god. We have a bunch of stone idols and creepy stuff that's weird. We burn candles and wear robes. You guys are exactly the frickin' same. God damn! Probably a strike cruiser, maybe a battle barge, but either way, I think it is a battle barge because it has the frontal macro cannon, but still. Massive, massive thing. Everyone always identifies these things on the side as lances. These are not lances. Again, people get this wrong. This is not a lance. These are lances. The one up front. These are not lances. These are Auspex veins and other things, but they are not lances. We've got our lovely Ultramarine here. I don't know his rank, but he's got the shield on his chest. And quite a few rank pins. I think that's 3 gold and 1 silver is 350 plus years. So, pretty veteran Marine. He might be a veteran sergeant. Or, yeah, he's probably a veteran sergeant. Also, I hate how all of these guys have the things on the top of their... Huh? Yeah. I hate how these guys all have the, like, golden halo on top of their armor. That's pretty much like a specific thing that denotes people that have refractor fields, and this makes no sense. 350 years is not very old. That's actually pretty young for a Marine. There are Marines, even in like my campaign, who are, you know, well, you know, Wallflower, you know how old the Chaos Marines are. 11,000 years. He's got the red Mark of Censure helmet. This looks very much like a Tempestus Scion's helmet, which, you know, isn't bad, but I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, Calgar's not only like 400. I mean, depending on where you want to start. Anyone who was around during the Heresy is at least, like, 10, 15, or yeah, like 10,000 years old, 9,000 years old. So, anyone from that era, yeah. So, I don't remember when Calgar becomes a Marine or takes over from them. Yeah. Yeah, for a not-named character, I suppose that's fair. Also, I'm not a fan of the red helmet green eye lenses. If you're gonna have green eye lenses, pick like a less clashing color with the helmet. Also, Beaky Marine, cringe. I know people like the Beakies. I do not like the Beaky helmet. Thunderhawks, and also a bunch of Rhinos and Razorbacks. Yeah, Coffin. I mean, you couldn't get wheels. You couldn't get, like, I don't know, a servitor to carry it around. You're dragging it on a chain. You're scratching the floor. You're a dickhead. Why can't you just carry it like a normal person? That's literally like a suitcase to him. Like, even if that was full of something, he could pretty easily pick that up. He's just doing this to be a dick. And they're doing it to make it look cool. Also, why are all 5 of the sides of the drop pod opening up? The only thing that you need to open up is the front of the drop pod. There's no reason to open up all 5 sides. That's why this one has a landing ramp, and these ones don't have to open. You see anyone else coming in through the other sides? No, you don't, because you don't need to open them that way. I love this. I love the indication that this is how they're loaded and launched. It just farts out the bottom of the ship. Hilarious. Again, these are not cannons. Incorrect statement. Yeah, this is definitely... this is probably a strike cruiser, actually, because you can see the macro cannons up here. But I love the idea that this is how they launch. It's like there's one little port for them down here, and then there's one on the side, so they can launch in different directions, which is really cool. Atmospheric re-entry into what looks like a gigantic sand hurricane. Not very safe, by the way. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, drop pods are going so fast that they're not gonna get knocked. It's a brick. There's nothing aerodynamic about the drop pod, and it can only correct itself slightly. So, going into high wind areas or going at the wrong angle, you could pretty easily start tumbling, and if you start tumbling, there's a very good chance that you die on impact. Or, it throws you around inside of the thing and gives you whiplash and breaks your neck. You know, Marines are not immune to G-forces. Also, very accurate shot to get it inside of a canyon. Alright, so we got 4 bros here. Yeah, only marginally better than... yeah, they're a little bit bigger. Yeah. Spacebook disapproves. I think these guys are supposed to be specialists, but either way it doesn't matter, because this whole arrangement is dumb as hell. And you'll see that in a second when they zoom out. Alright, so we've got our Chaos Cultists here. First complaint, why are they not using human language? These are not poxwalkers. Why are they growling and gurgling like they're, you know, inhuman? Like, that's... He said one word, and the rest of them are just kind of gurgling and... They speak. They are humans. They have human mouths, and they talk to each other. Why are you treating them like animals? God damn, you gotta love a good Chaos Lehman Russ. Also, if you ever wanted to know what the average Chaos LT looks like... Ah, crap. Back it up a little bit. This guy. Standard LT right here. Could be a Chaos language. It's unlikely because this is supposed to be an Imperial world. But also, Chaos language is just low Gothic. Like, that's not a thing. Chaos language in the way that you, like, speak to demons, that's something that regular humans would not know. Regular cultists would not speak a language that is inherently meant for demons. And since most demons can speak low Gothic anyway, there's no reason to teach them. So, again, it's mostly low Gothic. Yeah. The exotic world of West Virginia. God damn. You know, West Virginia is just a bunch of cultists. That's what West Virginia is. It's just a giant cornate cult. Also, he's got some nice armor on. Like, TBH, for all that he is, you know, obviously a standard cultist with some authority about him, he's got some good armor. I can't knock it. This guy, too. Shoulder pads, fully enclosed helmet, not bad. Also, yeah, solid. I think this is a Russ, though it might be something else. We'll see when we get a better wide shot of it. Again, I watched this once and had an absolute conniption and then never came back to it because I was, like, screaming and rolling on the floor in rage. Also, the click, 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 I love that. It's the sound of, like, slack track running through, which is great. Kind of shows poor maintenance, but it's also just a really good way of indicating that this is a big, heavy tank. Corn for New Jersey. Alright, again, dipshit, dragging instead of rolling. Just get a wheelbarrow, dude. He has a chainsword, this dude has a shield, and I think a chainsword or power sword. Yeah, clearly like some sort of apparatus that definitely could be on wheels, but isn't, because again, we're being assholes today. Also, making it really easy for us to track them. Yeah, also, here's another thing. Why are they going in this direction? Like, you'll see in a minute that the cultists are actually behind them as well as in front of them, so why do the Marines just automatically go in this direction? Also, motorbikes. Very classic. Space pallet jack? Yeah, exactly. They move so fast. I don't like the jerky animation in this because it moves them so fast that it's hard to see. But you can see as well, what do we have here? A big old 4x4. What do you notice about the 4x4? You ready? It's fucking massive. This thing is it's up-weighted and up-armored with a massive clawed front section, a wide throaty-ass engine, a massive hood to protect an upgraded engine, a large upgraded engine, and it's a 4x4 with 3 people in it. Keep track of this. This is what I'm already getting there. Keep track of this. We'll be talking about it soon. Also, apart from the auto guns you saw before, you can see a sword here and a pistol. And that's booking it. That's a quick vehicle. Alright. They're going past damaged vehicles of some kind. But yeah, so we can see chainsword, shield, probably also a chainsword, guy in the front, guy on the other side. It doesn't give us a good image of all the 4 of them until I think the end, so we're going to keep going. Alright, so he's analyzing it. Clearly a fallen piece of, like, architecture or something like that. He says photonic hydrogen, which, no idea what the hell that's supposed to mean, but this is obviously supposed to be, like, a various spectrum analyzer or auspex for the Marine's helmet. He's got things hanging down from it, probably bodies and cages. And then, first indication, heat signals. Automatically, what's going to be my first problem here? This guy is holding something with 2 hands, which indicates that he has what type of weapon? What type of weapon? See, but it says photonic. I don't think it would be light hydrogen fueling the nuclear reactor in his backpack. Also, why would that be up, like, in his armor display while he's trying to analyze things? Like, I would think my battery life would not be up there. I mean, it could be, but I don't think that the hydrogen is going to be powering the... Actually, no, maybe because it's a fusion pack, that would make sense. Actually, yeah, that might be it. But still, either way, a little odd. Back to what I was saying. What type of weapon do you hold with 2 hands? Do you hold, perhaps, a rifle with 2 hands? This indicates that this target is roughly about 200-ish meters away. Why are you running? Why are you running forward? You have a rifle. An actual rifle. At what point are you intending to stop and fire? At 10 feet? At 5 meters? It's not that hard to see them. Genuinely. They're loud as fuck, and they're massive. Even in, basically, a sandstorm, you should be able to see the big silhouettes of the massive creatures, and you have a rifle. They should already be shooting, is my point. This is a long, straight corridor. They should already be shooting. And he's identifying them. We've got probably a chainsword or some sort of melee weapon here and a pistol, but these dudes are clearly 1, 2, 3, 4 with rifles. They should already be shooting. And they're spilling out of, like, pillories on either side as well. See, this is the thing. Our little assault squad here, they're not shooting, but the guys in the back, they are shooting. Granted, I think they're probably shooting it up in the air to be, you know, spooky and scary, but still, it's indicating that they clearly could be firing their weapons right now, and they're not, which I find a massive problem. So, we've got some absolute outriders here. Looks like a couple of them have pistols. Some of them have rifles mounted to the front of their bikes, which are fine and all, but running the bikes directly into these targets is not a great idea for pretty obvious reasons. And even if you had something like this, you wouldn't be relying on the weaponry. You'd be relying on it to give you more momentum with a melee weapon. Traveling very quick. And you can see a lot of these guys actually have shields, which aren't bad. But it is a little abnormal to me that you'd have this many guys with actual, like, slab shields. And also you can see all of them pistols up. And you can see bolt, pistol, plasma pistol. And obviously, probably either veteran sergeant, more likely to be a captain. And grenades, plasma pistol, either power sword or chain sword. I think it was a chain sword, and the shield. This is very much indicative of, like, that's a lot of weaponry. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. That's a lot of weaponry for a Marine to carry into one battle. Like, having the pistol and the grenades and the chainsword and the shield is going to limit you a little bit in terms of how much weight you're carrying. That's a lot of weight. And, you know, firing at moving targets on the move with a pistol, I'm not surprised that they basically only hit a couple. So 1 and 2 go down, 3 and 4 bank off to the side. And yeah, just absolutely splatters that dude. That's about right for a bolt pistol. Another good hit there. But again, he's probably taken down 3 out of the, what did we see, 10, 20? Or no, not 10, like 20, 30. That moment when you realize that this is an Ultramarine success, or an Ultramarine animation, and you're about to get fucking obliterated. So again, this is kind of the thing here. We see them, and we know that from the Marines' perspective, they can see them. However, from the perspective of these guys, you might not be able to see them directly, but what you can see, obviously, under-equipped Space Marine Squad, not even close to under-equipped. They're actually very specially equipped. But I get this all the time when I complain about this. It's like, well, they can't see them because of the sandstorm. If you've ever seen what muzzle flash looks like in a sandstorm, it's fucking obvious where they are, and they're constantly firing every couple of seconds, which means that you should be opening fire with whatever weapons you have, because you can clearly see the outline every time that they're firing that weapon, especially the plasma pistol. You should literally be able to just see him straight out. So the idea that they're just like completely confused and they have no idea where they are, I don't believe that whatsoever, because you can clearly see the muzzle flashes even in this sandstorm. And again, it's a bolt pistol. It's got a huge amount of report and spit to it, so you would definitely see that muzzle flash. And again, going again, just you can see even here, it's not that thick. The visibility isn't that bad. It's like, from where we're standing POV-wise, it's about 10 meters in distance, and that clearly would indicate that they should be able to see them coming before they basically slam into them, which is what they do here, and honestly, it's a little bit ridiculous. This dude has a power axe, I forgot. Yeah, he's got an axe. God damn. Again, power weapon, shield, plasma pistol, grenades, massively overarmed. That's another thing. The Marines in this do not physics. A Marine is around 1,400 pounds. That dude was barely braced, and he basically got hit by the equivalent of a 150-pound guy and a 200-something pound bike. To give you a reference, let's say that he was going roughly 60 miles an hour, shall we? So if he was going 60 miles an hour with a mass of, let's say, 350 pounds, to be generous, with an acceleration of, and I'm doing the calculations on my own here, by the way, I'm going to do, let's say he was going, I'll be nice and say 50 miles per hour, 2 meters per second, 22.3 meters per second. That is 795 or 796 pounds of force. So, that Marine just got hit with 700, almost 800 pounds of force, and it basically didn't even move. That is not physics. Yeah, again, like, throwing it up, yes, or intentionally bracing, sure. He basically just hit him point blank with 800 pounds of force and didn't even flinch. That's not physics. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Oh yeah, 100%. The heavy bolter would be very helpful for this. But yeah, that's like the first instance in this video of Marines just not obeying the laws of physics at all, and just not moving whatsoever. Yeah, again, 1,400 pounds. A Terminator, sure, they could do that, but it wouldn't throw it over them. It would probably just smash into them. But we'll talk about that later. And you can see, once he goes past them, I think it's dangerous just to ride the bikes through this canyon in general. But once he goes past them, he actually just, like, falls and gets back up later. But he's coming from behind them, and probably more of them are going to come with him. So, again, that's, like, what they say is, like, the end of the bike attack. That was it. Now, I'd like to remind you, remember, we're at 213. I'd like to remind you, what did the number of bikes that come out look like? So we see 2 bikes. Holy shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So, bare minimum, like 20 bikes. Bare minimum, 4. They get 4 of them, basically, that we see. And somehow, the other, like, 14 bikes just disappear. Where the fuck did 14 bikes go? Seriously, this dude and his buddy here are the only ones who make it to them. How? Where did the other 14 bikes go that you just showed us a minute ago? Literally just disappearing bullshit. Again, this is the indication of where they were fighting before. Dude who's cut in half clearly got hit by the plasma bolt or by a bolt pistol. Why are they not firing already? Plenty of these dudes have rifles from what we saw before. They should be shooting already. There's no reason for them to continue jumping and running when the bikes have been taken down. Not to mention there should be more bikes, again. Also, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 dudes. That's all you could muster for your infantry. Embarrassing. Also, axe. So, we get back into good old-fashioned we're badass Marines and, you know, normal things like, I don't know, staging, preparation, stances, things that we cared about back in the day. We're just throwing that out the window, and now we're just walking like the fucking Terminator through this thing. It's another thing I don't like. It's like when Marines pretend like they just have no combat tactics or stances. If you look back in the Heresy, there's so much nuance to Marine duels and to how they use their weapons, whereas modern Marines, they treat their weapons like a bludgeon. They're practically artless a majority of the time. Axe, and they're all, this is the other thing, they're all fucking synchronized. It's like, god damn it, guys. Like, you couldn't be more on the nose about these guys being just pains in the ass, but having them literally do like a synchronized dance. Also, having him use the axe to just stab somebody in the chest. Look, he draws the axe back at a straight angle, draws it back. This is not a sharpened portion. He's just using the axe as a fucking bludgeon, again, because he's an asshole. Why? You could easily have twisted your wrist around and brought it down. What is the point of having the axe if you're just gonna use it like a blunt fucking mongoloid? Like, for real. Just smashes it, because he's an idiot, basically. Alright? This dude's only weapon is a knife. Who hurt bro? Who hurt bro? He's running at a Space Marine captain with a goddamn pocket knife. This guy has a sword. That dude had a club. He's got a knife. And now he has no head. One frame, basically. Swings a chainsword. Head gone. God damn it, dude. Stabbed through the chest, dead instantly with chainsword. Again, managed to pull one good one with the flat, and tosses this dude up in the air to cut him in half with the axe. Why? Yeah, would be. Should be ashamed. Also, again, this is clearly supposed to be a power weapon. So why are you not activating the power field at all? I mean, I understand it. I don't believe you should be activating the power field all the time. But at this point, why not, like, just tap it a bit? And he smacks it to get it around, which, again, I just wanted to show you that animation real quick. He has it in an underhand grip, which is the stupidest way to hold an axe. Not only is it a double-bitted axe to begin with, which is not great. These things were really not all that existent in our own history, and they don't serve all that much in terms of purpose. They're cool and all, but double-bitted axes are not as common as you'd think. But he's got it in the worst possible grip. The underhand backwards grip, like he's Ahsoka Tano holding a lightsaber. And he goes and he smacks it. And instead of smacking it the opposite direction so that the weightiest part, the head of the axe, can transfer into his grip and switch backwards, he hits it at the front, his hand lets go, and then it instantly basically flips 180, and he grabs it, like that. Like it's a fucking baseball bat. This is made of adamantium, probably, or solid steel. And it's probably like 45 pounds, to be honest. That's dumb as hell. Bro, just use the weapon the right way. You're being an idiot. Again. Also, again, bro from behind. This is our one biker, quote-unquote, who made it through. Again, why there's only one biker instead of the 14 that they didn't kill? Beats me. But still, this is the one dude who got through. What are you seeing here? Yet again, he's got the right idea. This cultist doesn't have a terrible plan here. He's doing what I said they should have done in the first place, which is instead of plinking away with their projectile weapons, you know, if they were going to do it, they should have started with it at a much longer range. But once they got close enough, which again, they would have been able to see them, once they get close enough, use a momentum melee weapon. And he looks like he has some sort of sword or big metal club. Good call. He's aiming for the top of his head. Also good call. Marine catches him right in the stomach with the back of the axe. GW and Ultramarine fans, and just Marine fans in general, have a fucking obsession. Really, a genuine one, between Astartes and this and various other things. They have a weird obsession with Marines just backhanding people with weapons, and that instantly killing them. Granted, that dude's probably dead. That's probably broken ribs right there. But still, why not actually use it the way it's supposed to be used? I know why you did it. The person who animated this, you did it so that it would look cool and badass and awesome. Shut the fuck up. These are genuine soldiers with talent and capabilities, and you are treating them like your own personal enjoyment objects. I'm not going to use that foul of a language here, but you get my drift. This is bullshit. Also, nice armor for that dude as well. He's got, like, the road leathers and everything. And then they get back together in their synchronized formation. Yeah, because Marines are totally this brain dead that they have to come back to, like, a reset position with all four of them shoulder to shoulder. Idiots. Alright. Melee weapon here. Not a terrible idea. Got on the way. This dude literally gets punched into the fucking stratosphere. Dude gets punched 8 feet in the air, basically. His feet almost clear that, and he basically just gets smashed with a chainsword. Dude instantly dead, had his weapon up, killed instantly. Head, disappear. That dude didn't even get hit with a weapon. He just got punched. Again, just punched. Instantly down, probably dead instantly, but again, no real movement, no real speed to this. That was essentially just a limp back fist that he just did. Watch. Hand is down, not ready, not primed. Target is here. Comes in with an axe. Basically makes a quarter turn, little lackadaisical turn, and smacks the dude with a backhand, essentially. Instantaneous death. Flies away like a ragdoll. God damn it. No momentum at all. Just with a cold cock punch, he could throw a 150-pound man. Fuck off. But, for real. Annoying. That's a good one. This dude has a nice vertical on him. I noticed that most of the weapons that they have, other than swords or axes or knives, are these, like, arm claws, which I'm on board with that. I'm a big fan of using arm claws to try and get into the joints in Marine armor. Not a bad plan. But, you know, leaping at him Star Angel style is probably not the best idea. Also, the fact that they're coming at them in waves or individual groups. You can bunch up way more than this. And the big baseball bat swings, while they may look silly, that's kind of what you need in order to actually stun or try and penetrate the Marines' armor, so I don't fault them for that. But I do fault them for not being closer to each other. Because while this dude is dealing with this one target, why isn't Cultist number 2, Cultist number 3, and Cultist number 4 converging on the lead target? Like, yeah, they're probably not going to do much, but this dude is clearly serving as essentially a sacrifice, so why aren't they capitalizing on it? They should be. And he's the closest target, so there is no logical reason why they're finding other targets while this dude's getting his skull bashed in. Again, just the effortless bullshit of, like, that should take some effort. Human skull is basically a ball of steel around meat, and just crushing it with one hand is wild. Again, not impossible. Definitely possible, but just the fact that they make that shit look effortless in this kind of pisses me off. There we go. Finally a good swing. He's still swinging basically underhand with the axe, but, you know, at least slightly better. He's using it more correctly now. Good backhand swing. Get his head off, and immediately twists into another hit. Very solid there. This guy had the right idea, came out behind his buddy. What he should have been is on the other side, so that his weapon arm would have had to extend to hit him. So, just a little bit of a comment there. And again, we got more people coming in here. Spear, not bad, but you should definitely be focusing on more than one person, because now we're running out of cultists. That was probably the dude from the very beginning, or someone like him, same helmet. I like the horns for this. Another punch that is just, you know, Superman punch. This dude, he's stopping and slowing, which I can understand. Big, scary guy coming at you. However, bro, you should probably be ducking. Yeah, because that's going to come right through. And that one as well, just instantaneous ragdoll punch. Alright. Time to talk about the second thing that pisses me right the hell off. Punches down. Arm goes back, goes up, grabs the dude by the throat, has a pistol. This is not a regular pistol. You'll notice, hand cannon. Again, I'm going to focus in on it one more time. He gets his sword knocked away. He swings down. Again, a sword hit to the arm, that could injure fingers or hands, so it's not a bad idea. Grabs him by the throat. Look, he's got the arm claw, which is another really great thing here. Again, I'm a big lover of this kind of enigmatic arm claw weapons that he's got on. Nice headgear as well. Not a badly equipped cult by any means, but has a what I would definitely call a hand cannon. For sure, definitely an Imperial hand cannon. Maybe even they want to call this a bolt pistol, but I think this is a hand cannon. Has it right up to the side of his head. Perfect shot. Basically perfect shot right to the side of the dome. Side of the skull. You could not ask for a better headshot than that with this, you know, probably hand cannon. But I think they might want to call it a bolt pistol, but I would call this a hand cannon. Perfect headshot. Couldn't ask for better. Basically nothing. There's not a single impact on the side of his helmet. This is only an inch of ceramic material. There should be cracks and flakes. That didn't hit the top of his head. It didn't hit at an angle. It didn't hit at some portion that we couldn't see. That was a straight up perfect hit to the side of the skull. And it basically looks like he hit him with a fucking cotton ball. What in God's name even is physics anymore? Because that is nothing. No reaction, no head tilt, no impact. That's, you know, a couple 100 foot-pounds of force on your neck. And one, no impacting, no cracking, no dust, no dent even. There's hardly even a smudge. No chipping of the paint. And just nothing. Just unfazed. Fuck you. That's not how bullets work. That's not how any of that shit works. There should, at the very least, be a massive scuff of dust and a scratch or gouge in the helmet from point blank, you know, 50 AE shot to the skull. You know, not a pure penetration because it's not an armor-piercing round, but still, if that was a bolt pistol, I would say that probably should have cracked the helmet, but if it was a hand cannon, I think it should at least have gouged a bit out of it. And he just gets headbutted. Fuck you, dude. For real. Just ridiculous. Also, again, just screaming or making loud noises because, you know, cultists can't speak. They're humans. They're humans. There's nothing different about them. Mutants can still speak. Why can't these cultists speak? Also, bro, none of that was over your eyes. Stop being dramatic. Oh, what a badass. Alright. Here comes the next annoying part. Alright. So, he grabs a random piece of sheet steel. He grabs his shield. My bad. Picks it up and puts it in front of a bunch of heavy stubber rounds coming directly towards him. Pretty solid shots here. Honestly, this is not a terrible plan. Heavy stubber, pretty effective at suppressing the Marines. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. If they were anyone else, they would be doing much worse at this point. But yeah, this is clearly like I would say a doubled up heavy stubber or a doubled up light stubber or medium stubber. Pretty solid impacts on target. Again, the slab shields for Marines are pretty thick, but they are made out of ceramite, which means that they can crack, they can flake, they'll get all sorts of dense divots and cracks from kinetic impacts, so this should be doing a number on the shield. Oh crap, no, that's sorry, this is like an assault cannon, or a Punisher cannon from what is likely a discount Lehman Russ tank. So again, these are probably like 20 mil rounds that are going into that, so that should absolutely be pulverizing the shield with what is likely from like a, let's say a 1 second, 2 second burst. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, yeah. Basically a 2.5, no, wow, even longer, good god. It's like a 3 second burst. And it should be absolutely cracking the shit out of that shield. Yeah, and you can see the divots here, but it should be doing a lot more if this is an actual ceramite face shield. But again, I think this might just be scrap steel instead of his actual shield. It's hard to tell. No, I think it is supposed to be a shield. And you can see, he's nice and braced. That is how it should be. That's how he should have been when that biker hit him. Runs past. I don't know why they don't shift targets. Again, they can clearly see them from like 50 meters away. They can clearly see them. Point blank range, essentially. Why are they focusing on the ones that have shields? Why aren't they changing targets in priority? It's an automatic weapon. You don't even have to, like, reload or change targets all that easily. Just slew the cannon a little bit to the dude who's running at you. Again, he's running. He's sprinting straight at you. And not only are you, not backing up to give yourself more range and area to fire, you can clearly see them because you're shooting at them. Why are you not changing targets? You should be. Okay, here comes the bad part. We have our buggy from before. Now remember what I said before. This is clearly a heavy, up-armored buggy. Remember, heavy, up-armored buggy. Going what I would say is probably 50 or 45, 50, 60 miles an hour. This dude is jogging, essentially, sprinting or running. And I would say probably 20 or so miles an hour. So his full kinetic weight, just to put it in perspective, because I did calculate this, his kinetic weight at his size is around 1,500 foot-pounds of energy. And that's not bad. It definitely isn't. However, just to be entirely clear, the kinetic energy of this vehicle, with all of its passengers and armor, is well over 1,600 pounds. So to be clear, Object A has far more kinetic energy than Object B. We're about to see physics get absolutely obliterated. Fuck you. Literally fuck you. Look. Look at this. Whole ass vehicle. Has an engine, has crew, has a superstructure, has an armored front, and that digger that we saw earlier. All of that about to hit this man straight in the chest. And not only does the digger not do anything, not only does he go instantly through the windshield, where's the engine? Where's the engine block? That weighs 1,000 pounds almost, the entire vehicle. Where's the engine block? Where is all of the mechanics and machinery? Is this just an empty box that travels on, orc magic? No, this is clearly supposed to be a real vehicle. Where is the engine block? Where's the engine block? This is like a wheel hub. This is parts of the superstructure. Where's the engine? He just went straight through the middle. It's not like he hit it off to the side. That is straight through the middle. You can see a wheel on one side, a wheel on the other side. He goes straight down the middle. And he just goes right through it like it's nothing fucking there. It's 1,000 pounds. It's exerting more force on his body than his body has weight. Plus the kinetic energy of his movement is still not high enough to be more kinetically weighty than this vehicle. I actually calculated it. Like, I'm not even fucking around. I actually calculated it. That vehicle weighs over 1,000 pounds. With 3 people on it going 60 miles an hour, it is essentially going to rip him in fucking half. But to be more obvious, and to be even more generous to this absolute bullshit, because this is horseshit, this is absolutely not physics, bare minimum, that should throw him on his ass like 30 yards away. Not 30 yards, but it should essentially put him on his butt. And instead, he basically goes right through it like it's made of fucking tissue paper. God damn, I have seen defensive linemen hit the stands with less difficulty. Or with more difficulty. Again, just how ridiculous is this? There's not even an identifiable piece of this that's real machinery. The Marine is somehow bigger than the vehicle that is larger than him. This makes no fucking sense. Where is this vehicle? It basically explodes like it got hit with a fucking RPG-7, and there's just nothing left but scrap metal. It practically shakes itself together. Clearly, a well put together, solid vehicle, and it just disintegrates. It's heavier than him. It's traveling faster than him. It has more kinetic energy than him, and he hits it at a full sprint, chest on, and he goes right through it, and it doesn't even slow him down. He's the fucking Kool-Aid man. It doesn't even slow him down. That makes no fucking sense. Also, he keeps his arm up like that matters. Bro, it hits you in the gut. The first thing that would hit you would be the front bumper and those spikes, which would hit you in the gut and thighs. Having your arm up here does fuck all. This is not bracing yourself. This is bullshit. Again, literally just straight into his stride. Just absolutely nothing. No differential in speed, no change in that. No indication that he just took about 2,000 pounds of kinetic force to the chest. Just keeps walking. Fuck Space Marines. And then, of course, let's just take a fucking second to consider this, for real. Let's just take a second. He started his jump here. Let's say that is, I don't know, 5 meters. 5 meters. No, because he's 2 meters tall, so yeah, I'd say 5 or 6 meters. 5 or 6 meters, he jumps. Now, this vehicle is clearly taller than him. So let's say that it's around 2.5 meters. So with a single running jump after getting hit by after getting hit by an entire whole ass ATV, just here, it's just off screen. This is not something that he gets a chance to rerun up. He loses all of his momentum, or should, and then he makes essentially a running long jump, and he covers 3 meters in the air, 5 meters on the ground. No fucking way do you weigh 1,400 pounds and you get that jump off. Fucking possible. Literally not physics. These things are so heavy. There is no fucking way he makes that jump. Oh, it slows down for, dramatic effect. It's not even like he lands on the front of the hull either. He doesn't land on the front of the hull. He lands on the fucking turret. He lands with his feet on the front gun mantlet. He makes the entire tank. You realize that with that slowing him down, that means that he could essentially hurdle an entire tank. He could clear a tank. That's like a fucking bunny rabbit. It makes no sense. And of course, this idiot is, out of his cupola, which is dumb as hell, because he shouldn't be, because 1, you saw all those dudes get shot. 2, there's much better protection for you down here. 3, there's actual auspex in your cupola that you could be using to direct this battle, and instead you're standing up here because you are an idiot. So again, one more thing. Why aren't you moving the tank? Why aren't you shaking them off? Why aren't you moving the turret, the gun mantlet? Why don't you have a coaxial weapon? Why don't you have a cupola pintle weapon? Why aren't you doing fuck all to get this giant thing off of you? Even if it was magnetized, it's still a physical creature that needs to hold up its own weight. If it's on an angle, if it's on, incomplete terrain, essentially if one's foot is at an angle and the other one can't get a perfect mag lock, you could shake a Marine off of the vehicle. And they just do none of that. He just stands up, no problem, right on the turret. You can see him standing on the turret, grabs another one of those hand cannons, again, hand cannon, empties out, 2-3 rounds, and right into his chest. Not a great choice. You know, there could have been other options. He could have shot him under the arm, in my opinion, probably would have been the best pick. But just no reaction. No reaction whatsoever. No movement. No indication of physics. It's almost like these guys are playing with, like, God mode activated. And nothing can touch them and they lose no health. That's literally how this looks. And it's one of my least favorite things about both this animation and Marine shit in general. And just kills him with a chainsword. Drops in a fragmentation grid, doesn't actually bother to actually drop it in, just kind of lets go of it, because, you know, that much of a badass, and then walks off of the fucking tank! Also, if that was a cook-off, that should have thrown him. I know that these are small caliber rounds, but it doesn't actually matter. If that was a cook-off, which... yeah, which from the turret smoking it probably was, that should have thrown him off the tank, and you can clearly plants a satchel charge on the side of the tank, which I guess for like asset denial, sure. But I wouldn't put it on the side. I would probably put it inside or on the turret so it blasts that inward. The side can be repaired. I mean, they have a sectioned off area on the side of the Russ that has an air gap and all of the suspension. So that can actually get damaged by high explosive and it's still repairable. Also, that was it. That was the entire cult. That was all the front they could put up. No infantry with the tanks, no support for their outriders, a bunch of random infantry running ahead of the armored vehicles, not using them for cover, not using the firearms that they clearly have. Who the fuck would think that that's a good idea? And this is what I talk about when I say that people treat cultists like they're not human. Genuinely. I don't think GW understands, or in this case Amazon understands, that cultists are human. They think that they're brain-dead puppets. For real. And you can see it from the way that they don't let them talk, they don't let them move, they don't give them as many unique weapons. They give them thematic weapons, sure. But you can see all these are generic, quick-cut weapons, and they're not really, you know, using them like humans would. They're not using them tactically. They're not making any advantage of the massive advantages that they had. If they had done this the right way... Does it? I don't think it does. We'll take another look, though. Alright. Brother, that's damage? He scratched the fucking Aquila. That's not damage. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. At least it does something, but it is literally the equivalent of scratching the paint. Which, again, if that's a hand cannon or a bolt pistol, no. That would carve out an actual dent in the armor. That's literally just like a scratch. Literally like it bounced. Straight up shooting him with fucking cotton balls. Absolute horse shit. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Also, one of those shots looked like it was actually aimed at the pauldron, and the pauldron has 0 damage whatsoever. And he should have been shooting underneath the pauldron. Honestly, at this range, either shoot him in the face, or go the extra mile and aim between his shoulder blade, or aim between his shoulder and his breastplate. Because as you saw, like, that's... yeah, like, there's a lot of sparks and a lot of shit going on, but the only damage that you see is a tiny little scratch to the gold leaf, and that's basically nothing. Also, I don't know why it's continuing to roll for a couple of seconds. Also, secondary thing, why didn't it back up? Why aren't they backing up? Why is the tank not backing up? They should be. They should be moving that. Yeah, a small hole to the right of the insignia. I don't see it. I really... hold on. I'll take another look. I really don't see it. If you're talking about here, dude, I see literally nothing. Like that? Or are you talking about that? That tiny thing. That's what I'm talking about when I say he basically just scratches the paint. Like, that's literally the gold getting flaked off. That's not ceramite. That's not... because the ceramite would be white and chalky and you'd see dust. That's literally nothing. That's like a scrape on the armor. That's not even damage to the protection, which it definitely should be doing. The metal of the Aquila and the metal of the sections is either regular steel or it's like gold leaf over ridge. And that should definitely be penetrating. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he missed, but yeah. In between the wings and the helmet? Uh, Bro, that's a hole. That's the skull. That's the winged skull of the Astartes. That's the eye holes of the skull. Is that what you're talking about? That's not damage. That's an indication of the hole where the eyes are for the skull. Yeah, it did look like he was trying to aim the right way, but he hit once on the breastplate, once too low, and it did literally nothing. Like, that second one, this one, hold up. 1, hit him in the pauldron. 2, hit him low. 3, hit him in the chest. That second one should have done the job. Yeah, in between the wings and the skull, right here. That basically just flaked off a tiny bit of shit. I do not see a hole between the skull and the wings. I do not see anything here. Like, I think that's the U for the Ultramarines, is it not? I see, like, no indication of damage. That this looks practically exactly the same as it was before, and there's no directional indication of damage. Like, you don't see a crater or a skid mark of lead or any scratching on the ceramite. Either way, absolutely nothing, basically, and no indication that the round that should have gone here or on the lower side of the pauldron, no indication that that hit whatsoever. So, again, disappearing bullet, yet again. And I don't like to bitch, but I am just kind of, eyeing it. Classic issues of looking at anything but fantasy with sci-fi flavoring. Yeah, I mean, that's a way to look at it, but I have to try. And this one just particularly pisses me off because of all those reasons. Yeah, you thought the U was a dent. Yeah, it's not. The U is indented a little bit, but it isn't an indication of damage, which is, again, just that dude taking no damage to the impact to his head. Again, if that was supposed to be his head, that's on the other side, so wrong side if they're supposed to indicate that. And 2, no damage to that dude's chest, pretty much. Yeah, this is a bitching stream, 100%. I'm only doing it because I'm watching this video, and then I will never talk about it again, and I will never bitch again, but, like, this one makes me angry, so I have to talk about it. Alright, let's talk about what they could have fucking done better. 1, you had cover here. This area, this covered cult area that was clearly like a garage and shit, you should have stayed in here. What you really should have done is backed up the motorcycles into the rear areas here, had the tank be the first thing that the enemy saw, and then line up your infantry behind it, and then proceed to have a massive, like, mechanized move with all of the motorcycles and the tank moving at the same time, and the infantry coming up behind the tank. Instead of having the light outriders go first, where they're the least protected, have the random infantry attack second with no cover, and then have the armor come in third? What idiot does that? And why save that little 4x4 for the middle when the armor's there? Why? That should have gone with the motorcycles. So, again, why not lead with the armor? Why have infantry unprotected by vehicles or unsupported by vehicles when they clearly have the vehicles to do so? And then why send out the outriders, the lightest, fastest things first, in the most confined conditions? Is that supposed to be a Warlord Titan? Goddamn, I didn't notice. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's also ridiculous. Yeah. Reclamation team should be here. Also, again, that was supposed to be a cook-off. Time, like, if you've ever slid down, like, a hill or a ravine or even, like, dunes at the beach, you know that keeping a hand in contact with a sheer wall, it's not going to keep you attached to the wall. These dudes should probably be falling forward at a certain point, and also traveling at this speed, I think you damage your armor trying to do this. You're not like Master Chief where you can fall from space and, like, armor lock at the last minute and survive. Also this. We're not in zero gravity. Space Marines cannot fucking walk on a 90-degree surface like a goat. We're not on a ship. We're not in zero gravity. You can't walk a 1,400-pound creature down a 90-degree vertical fucking surface. This is literal horse shit. This is not physically possible. They're not even leaning. It's literally like God mode. They're just tip-tapping down a wall like a goat. God damn it, I hate this shit. And the fucking thing. This is the other thing. Why is this able to slide? What magnets are in this that it's able to slide and not just fall downwards? Alright, we're fighting some Zangors here. You guys give me like 1 minute. I will be right back, okay? Okay, sorry about that. I am back. Sorry. Just a minute. Sorry. I missed posts. Yeah, video game logic sends the hordes of Mook first, and then after they die pointlessly, send the armor to give them a second boss fight. Yeah. Gravity-defying, like, parkour breeds. Fuck that. Hell no. Absolutely no chance. Yeah, I get that. I definitely understand the more wanting to have it more militaristic and sword swinging and magic slinging. Goofy, fun 40k. That's fair, yeah. Yeah, yeah, 40k treats a lot of people like they're just brain-dead, stupid creatures. Including Zangors, by the way. These guys are getting the absolute short shrift here. They are actually pretty well armed and pretty dangerous in the actual canon. Not to mention that they are more intelligent than this. You know, in Space Marine 2, they're absolute chaff, but in reality, Zangors are pretty nasty, because at the end of the day, they are still beastmen, which means that they're pretty strong, and they have ensorcelled weapons, which are nice. I'm not saying that Goofy 40k is bad, by the way. I'm just saying that when you try and make this, the Marines, when you try and make them really cool and solid and, like, down-to-earthy, and then you have them do absolutely insane shit because you're too stupid to understand how the lore works at Amazon, I get upset. Essentially a fully intact Emperor Titan just sitting there in the open, completely visible in Space Marine 2. No sense why the AdMech wouldn't retrieve it. I would agree. Absolutely. I mean, unless it was under very heavy guard and they didn't have the forces available, but then they would probably bother everyone else to deal with the issue and then go retrieve it. I do like the luminous blue blood, though. Very cool. What is this dude doing? What is he doing? He got like 3 good strikes in. Same with this guy. Their swords are ensorcelled. They have AP, and yet they're doing nothing. Bruh. Where are my Zangors? This is horrible Zangor abuse. For real. Yeah. Yeah, this is like every single Marine novel for sure, and it makes my brain hurt. Aw, poor baby. You tried so hard, buddy. I believe in you. Next time. Also, I like how they're kind of Chaos Undivided, these cultists. But there's clearly, like, some Zeech elements here with both the Demon and with the Zangors. But again, Zangors, Korngors, Pestigors, Slangors, they can all exist, but these are pretty obviously Zangors. So I don't know if it was supposed to be like a poorly conveyed Zeech cult, or if there's some nice eight-pointed star stuff going on, or the occasional but relatively fun, rare example where you have cults that worship two of the gods alone. So you'll get a pairing like Slaanesh and Nurgle, where they worship the cycle, but they also think that they should maximize their enjoyment of it. Where you get Khorne and Nurgle, where you believe in being martially powerful, but also incredibly durable. So you're both strong and tough. And the more weird ones, like Slaanesh and Zeech, where it's like, I'm going to find the most convoluted and complex ways to maximize my mental enjoyment of life. Also, I don't know why he keeps putting his chainsword back when his offhand is what he's using for fighting. Like, you can just attach this to your armor. He doesn't have to hold it. Really cool effect, though, with the glow-in-the-dark blood. Yeah, where did their storm shields go? Good fucking question. When did storm shields become something that every single Marine has? Even better question. Because, you know, they are supposed to be nice relic items, but like I said, it just looked like a random slab of metal rather than an actual storm shield, but, you know, who cares? Who gives a fuck? There's plenty of things that have gone missing. Where did those 14 bikers from earlier in the animation go? God knows. I don't know which god, but God knows. Also, I like this kind of liminal, empty black room. Some very high chaos corruption shit there. Yeah, I know they're veterans, but even if... Also, hilarious how a veteran is 350 years. Could... Yeah, that's the thing. We got like an underground Zeechian library. This definitely smacks of Zeech cult to me. With the underground and the crystals and the Zangors. And it's an interesting thing. How do you make Zangors? Because we don't really know all that much about Khorngors, Pestigors, or Slangors, but we know a shit ton about Zangors, and we know that they're on Sortiarius and all that. How do they not run out of ammo? Oh, they should. They should run out of ammunition. What is more important, especially when they have pistols, they should be carrying a lot of, essentially, ammunition reloads with them. You've only seen them reload about twice during this animation so far. The average Marine will only have, on average, around 90 rounds of bolter ammunition. Back in the day, before everyone had a bolt pistol in addition to their bolt gun, that would give you the ability to kill exactly 90 people before you had to switch to a melee weapon, which meant that Marines had a much more limited deployment. Nowadays, Marines are expected to do much longer missions with much less firepower and in much more adverse situations, so they both give them more ammunition. Usually they'll have 120 rounds now. Or, if they don't want to have those 3 magazines, they could switch to having 2 box mags, or the more likely thing if they're going on very long deployment is they'll go up to 150 with 4 magazines in addition to the one in their bolt gun. But that still limits the number of people that they can actually kill to 150 with a ranged weapon. That's assuming that they don't miss, which they can. Quite easily, in fact. We saw it in the opening animation, how there were a bunch of bikers that they missed. But yeah, back to this cult. These are cool guys. Like, these are definitely my bros. No. So, back in the day, especially during the Heresy, it was not normal to have a bolt pistol and a bolt gun. And it's not normal in a lot of the Marine lore, because the bolt pistol was essentially designed to be a sidearm, assuming that you had a melee weapon. It was designed to be an offhand weapon, not a backup weapon. So it's supposed to give you the similar or the same firepower of a bolt gun, but in a much smaller package that you could hold in one hand. Whereas now it's being treated as a sidearm to the bolt gun, and that has changed in the lore, which in my opinion is terrible. Multi-lasers. Yeah, they'd use multi-lasers or just make marine-sized hellguns, which would be cheaper than bolters for their hyper-expensive ammunition anyway. Well, the issue with that is that there are limitations to those weapons. Things like overheating. And they're also relatively temperamental in terms of physical damage in comparison to a bolt gun. And I think the biggest issue is that the kinetic impact of the Hellgun. While its armor penetration is great, kinetic impact's a problem, and both of those weapons require relatively bulky energy packs, and it might limit or interfere with their energy production for their armor. Because if you're pulling multiple energy sources into the weaponry, you're going to slow down the armor and possibly weaken it. And especially with a multi-laser, those require very large solid-state batteries, and they're a heavy weapon. So you might see a Devastator using that, but they would have a specific system set up to do it, and it would be much harder for a Marine to do so. In addition, the Hellgun just is very hard to build up to the level of durability that it could be used as like a melee weapon, like they do with the Bolter on occasion. Yeah, if only Kellerman was here. Honestly, unironically, this could be Kellerman's cult. Like, this could be the echelons. I think you and I are going to be a little bit more organized than this, but between the tanks and the Zangors and all the other things that we're going to do, I think that we could end up like these guys. If you want troops with power armor and multi-laser, look at Thalax. How about I don't, though? Also, I would not call the Thalax power armored. More like augmetically armored. Sorry, I was talking to Wallflower because she went into and is joining our Corrupt Contender server, and has already joined in with the Sabbat Worlds Crusade as Alucard, one of the Magisters for the Blood Pact. Full cult and everything. 2 cults, actually. Yeah, this is definitely a Zeech cult, if you couldn't tell by the giant fucking Lord of Change. Change, change, change. No offense, but if a cult is this entrenched and this organized, were they power, though? They were... So, sorry, I should make myself more clear. I'm not saying that it's not power armor as in powered armor, but they are much more, like, cybernetically enhanced, so it isn't like a suit of armor that is powered. It's more like their limbs are servos, so it's not like a human being covered in protection. I'm not saying it's worse or better, it can be both, but it's just different, so I don't really call it power armor. So how do I explain this? If I took a person and I put them in a knight armor, like, you know, medieval knight armor, that would be armor. And then if I powered that, it would be power armor. But if I took a human being and I removed their arms and legs, and then I made an armored egg for what was left, and then I put remotely controlled limbs on top of it, that's no longer power armor. That is essentially an exoskeleton that is armored. You understand what I mean, Tuna? That help you out? Yeah. You don't think they'd cut it in the echelons, not enough war crimes? I think not enough discipline, at least not for me. It's not abnormal for cults to make these kind of temples, even Khornate cults. By the way, if anyone ever tells you that Khorne builds no temples, laugh in their face. They are dead wrong. Khorne has hundreds of temples, not to mention that he loves shrines, altars, all that type of showy shit, and, what's more important and obvious, Khorne sets up his own temple, guys. What do you think the Brass Citadel is, if not a giant temple to Khorne? For real. Like, it has all these spires and towers and fancy... It's clearly a temple. Khorne clearly has a temple. And he likes temples as well. I don't know where the idea that Khorne eschews any temple worship, that's bullshit. It's inherently wrong, because it's still worship. And that doesn't mean that you can't build a temple on a battlefield. Building a temple on a long-dead battlefield might work as well. But yeah, the idea of building these giant statues of greater demons, this is not very normal. Because demons are usually not as common within these cults. And the idea that they would build a statue of a greater demon is a little bit odd, in my opinion. Also, I can't tell if he's a sanctioned psyker or a navigator, because he has the metal thing over his eyes like a navigator, but some of the sanctioned psykers also have that. I'm not sure if that's a solid idea, you know, blinding yourself, but maybe he's pretty good at his job. On the size of those shells. Bolt pistol shells, I don't think they would blow through, like, 10 feet of rock. The plasma pistol would, but he's tap firing that thing. And then we have a kind of unidentifiable demon here. This looks to me to be more Slaneshi than anything else. God, look at the little bolt shells. But could be anything else. There is also such things as uncategorized demons that either belong to no god or belong to a god that has had them specifically modified. because most demons are thought forms of their god, except for Korn. His demons are actual physical representations of him, literal like chip off the old block representations that make up various parts of their will. Demons can be of all different types, shapes, and sizes, which means that there are a lot of demons that don't fit into the regular categories. Time Stop. What a classic Zechian spell. Bro just got impaled. Yeah, so that was their psychic defense, I guess, against the initial psychic attack. Put up a warding, and then, didn't give a shit to block that or, get in the way of it to protect their psyker. Definitely should have, because now they're vulnerable to psychic attack. Oh, shoot. That was the latter half of that one. Hold up, I'll find it. We need secret level. Need the demon scene. Let's go with this one. Alright, we're gonna skip ahead to where we just were. Where's Bro getting impaled? Yep, Bro getting impaled. Love good spider legs. And, looks like it has a secondary weapon with it, too. So 4 arms can be an indication of different gods at certain times, but in this case, I think it's supposed to be Zechian, but it could be anything. See, that's some solidly scary demon magic right there. That's why you don't let your psyker get stabbed in the literal back. 2 dead. Just 2 dead instantly. All in one time stop. You also notice the coldness coming off this creature. Kind of that primordial frost that comes with a lot of work. Again, insane vertical there. But also, indication that that wasn't actually a demon. Possibly. That might have been a Chaos Psyker. Again, mutated Chaos Psykers are a thing, but I think from the fact that this thing has blood and, physical limitations, that might be maybe a possessed, maybe a demon psyker, could be any number of things, but whatever it is, it's certainly dead now. But also the fact that it, has internal organs and shit. Demons don't tend to have that. They may bleed, but if you destroyed a creature that fully, its body would fade back into the warp. You would not have a corpse left behind. That does not happen with demons. Except for some greater demons. By the way, I like how they phrase this, or they frame it as a good thing. This is not a good thing. This is releasing a ton of warp corruption, so, way to literally set off a volcano, essentially.
Target confirmed. Ordnance inbound. Die well, brothers.
Basically just made his blood-brain barrier break down. Nasty shit.
Titus, our duty is done. It's time to go.
Not yet, old man.
I mean, you're not retrieving any of the dead bodies. That I'm concerned about. No retrieval of the dead bodies, no taking care of the fallen, not even taking their war gear. Asshole. Also, another couple of tanks up there.
What could a soul like that be capable of?
Alrighty, so that was Secret Level. I am out of time for this stream, but I have appreciated my time with all of you ladies and gents immensely. And I have a great time raging at stuff with you. So, I hope that you all enjoyed. I hope that it was very helpful to you all. And I wish you all a